we move you on now to the governing New Patriotic Party, because there's quite a lot happening now as we speak. With the NPP, of course, moving on to have a meeting this afternoon organized by the National Executive Committee and the National Council of the New Patriotic Party, who are held up in a crucial meeting to discuss, amongst other pressing issues, of course, consultations together with Dr. Bawumia, the flag bearer of the party, who will now be looking for someone to partner him as the running mate to the 2024 elections. Of course, this meeting that we're looking right now at is very crucial, and of course it will determine the political fortunes of the governing party. But of course, we'll be taking a look at some of the issues at stake. Let me first of all cross you over to the venue where all of this is happening. Samuel Mbura is joining us from there. Sami, what can you report and what's happening right now? And of course, we're just working the lines out. Sami Mbura, my colleague, will be joining us shortly just to give us the very latest of what's happening there at the Alisa Hotel, where we understand that meeting is underway in terms of the selection of a possible running mate. The processes are starting now with consultations happening at the Alisa Hotel to find a running mate to the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia. Sami Mbura is joining us back again. And Sami, if you can hear me, the question about what's happening now and effectively what the Constitution of the New Patriotic Party says about the selection of a running mate. Sami, can you hear me? The question as to what the party's constitution says about what's happening now and why this meeting is being held. And of course, we'll try as much as possible to see if we can get Samuel Mbura, who's there for us. Of course, we're having a bit of a difficulty with someone hearing us out and, of course, giving us an update on what's happening at the Alisa Hotel. Sami, if you can hear me, the question as to what is happening now, can you just bring us up to speed with what's happening now?
I wasn't hearing him.
Sami, can you hear me? What's happening now?
Here in Accra, where there's a crucial and critical meeting of the top hierarchy of the NPP currently underway. The first badge of the meeting was the National Executive Committees. Yeah, I can hear you, Blessed. Can you hear me?
What's happening now? Just bring us up to speed with what's happening now.
I think that there seems to be some challenge there. But what I was saying was that we are live from the Alisa. So we are live from the Alisa Hotel here in Accra, where the NPP is holding a crucial meeting. So anyone who matters in the NPP is part of this meeting here, being closed at, held in closed doors. Even the party members, the top hierarchy members, are not even supposed to enter into this meeting with their mobile phone. So before you get in there, you have to put your phone at the reception, then get in there. So information about the meeting is quite sketchy. But what we do know is that per the NPP's constitution, if you look at Article 13, 3.1.2 talks about the fact that the presidential candidate is expected to communicate to the National Executive Committee and National Council the choice of the running mate. Then they will now deliberate on this. Then they can give their suggestions and recommendations going forward. So at the moment, that is what is currently underway. The National Council members consist of regional executives, national executive past and present executives. The president was supposed to be here. However, he is currently on a journey, a reason we don't have him here. But the vice president, who is the flag bearer of the party, is currently there with the party top hierarchy in this closed door meeting. So what I can say is that the issues that they have touched on so far have to do with the fact that they just ended national, election on the orphan constituencies. They will definitely review that and get the reports from the election committee. Also, we know that the constituencies with sitting MPs are also is also coming up sometime next year. So they will definitely give some guidelines and modalities regarding that particular election. But key among, the critical one has to do with the selection of the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We know names have been flying, and then majority of them coming from the Ashanti region. We have not gotten snipers of information, the favorite yet, but those names flying, you hear of the majority leader of Seche Mensa Bonsu. We also have the energy minister, whom I know is not in the country at the moment. Maiti Opoku Prempeh, his name has come up. Madam Frema Opare, her name has also been mentioned. The education minister, Dr. Educhum's name has also been mentioned. A host of them. And Joe Osewusu, popularly known as Joe Wise, his name has also come up. So one other name that has been added, and that is coming up as a surprise, more than less, has to do with the former General Secretary of the NPP, Mr. Kobina Ejapon. So that was the information I had earlier, that his name has also been included, among those that have. And then another person has to do with the EPA boss, Dr. Kokofu. His name is also springing up strongly. So it's actually a keen competition as to who makes it to the running mate list of the flag bearer of the NPP. But what I do know, the information according to my sources, is that Dr. Bawumia has penned down some 2 names that he will present before the committee. So what we are doing currently is to pitch camp outside of this meeting. When they are done with the National Council meeting, then the General Secretary of the party will come and address the media on what transpired and the decisions that they'll be taking. Like I said, at the moment we are unable to get access to any of them to speak to us on that, but what is currently happening has to do with the run-up to the 2024 election, so far as reorganization of the NPP is concerned, towards their match target of breaking the 8 in the political landscape of the country.
And Sami, tell us about the individuals who are there presently at this venue that we're looking at on the screen. Who has been showing up at this meeting?
We have MPs appearing, we have ministers, and we have all the top hierarchy members of the NPP. They are here. Anyone who matters in the NPP is supposed to be here. In fact, the former president, Mr. John Ejekunkufo, is supposed to be here, but we know definitely he will have his views on this and all that. So when we talk about the National Council of the NPP or the National Executive Committee of the NPP having a meeting, then it talks about all those who matter in the NPP coming to hold a meeting. So it is actually a tall list, but like I said, one of the big shots has to do with the flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. We also have the national executives here. But I've seen Mr. Ahiagba here. I'll try and get to him to get his brief comments on what has happened so far. Like I said, it is a closed-door meeting, so it's very difficult getting any of them to talk to her. But anyone who matters in the NPP is part of this particular crucial meeting here at Alisa Hotel. So, Blessed, Mr. Ahiagba is here. I'll talk to him briefly on this particular issue. We know that details will definitely not emanate now, but at least he can give us highlights of what is currently happening in the meeting. Excuse me, Mr. Ahiagba, just briefly, you're live on the Joy News channel.
I may not be able to speak to you.
All right, so Mr. Ahiagba has declined to talk to me. Earlier, he agreed that when he comes out, he will give us some insight or the highlights of what is currently happening, but he has declined to talk to us, and he's going back to the meeting there. But Blessed, It is actually a top hierarchy meeting of the NPP here at the Alisa Hotel. The list is actually a tall one that I may not be able to exhaust.
My colleague Samuel Mbura giving us the very latest from the headquarters. Not the headquarters. This is supposed to be Alisa Hotel, but let's get you back there where he's interacting with some other people.
To the Vice President's campaign team.
Yes.
Tell us, what do you make of today's meeting? How crucial is this meeting for the party?
It's a normal process and a ritual. The party has always been doing this, spanning from years 96, 2000, when my late father was chosen as the running mate, when Vice President Bawumia was chosen. So it's part of the rituals of the party. And as the meeting is ongoing, I'm going back as a member of the National Council. We still deliberate, but I'm not the best person, and I'm not well positioned to give.
I understand, but I know the National Executive Committee met, and then per your own constitution, if you look at Article 13.3, it talks about the fact that the running mate must be communicated 12 months to the election, and then coincidentally, it comes this particular month. Some of these issues have not come up. You've not heard something like that?
Yes, I've heard. I know the Constitution. I'm well versed with the Constitution. I've gone through the Constitution. I know what it is, but as a member of the National Council, I shouldn't be seen making any decision now. Whatever it is, I'm going back into the meeting. And whatever that it is, it will be communicated to the public. But we should be rest assured, the Vice President is someone who is well experienced. He went through the process of selection, and he also knows what is important. What is important is to come out with a running mate that is going to be well accepted by the party, all and sundry.
What is in the grapevine? What we have?
I don't have
names coming from just mainly from the Ashanti region. They say, the one who partner him is definitely coming from the Ashanti region. Is that a consensus from the party?
What matters to me as a member of Parliament for people of Yendi and a member of the party is to have somebody who would come and help us add an advantage to have a winning number. And obviously, if it's coming from Ashanti or whatever it is coming from, it is the party's interest and we winning 2024 that is important. So whoever that the Vice President chooses is prerogative, and we will respect the Vice President's choice.
Right, so you have seen the support the Vice President has garnered so far since he won this election. Yeah. We've seen the reception he has received in the regions you have gone to. Yeah. Would you say that from the northern part, the northern caucus of the NPP, you are proud that the party has taken the right decision to elect Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia at this particular crucial moment?
Why not? Thank you very much for this opportunity. Obviously, as a son of a former Vice President, my late father was the first Muslim Vice President to have come from the north after 30 years of wilderness in the NPP. And my dad couldn't make it as a president. And we chose Dr. Bawumia. And it wasn't only about the north, Ashanti region, Eastern region, all the 60 regions has spoken that to also say that what John Mama wished for the party, that we will not choose a running mate for the north, has been shut down. We have chosen a competent person. Fortunately, the person is from the north. NPP is not looking at the northern card. We are looking at the generality of the party, the competence of the party, and the person who will move us forward. And that is Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, accepted by all and sundry. And we, even the northerners, don't own the Vice President. I think the southerners are those who are owning the Vice President more than us.
So are we expected to see the name unveiled who will be partnering Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia after today's meeting? Should we expect?
For now, as a member of the National Council, I'm very careful. What matters after tonight, you hear what was happening today. I shouldn't be in a position to give you any information for now. Thank you very much.
So, Honorable Farouk Aliyu Mahama is the son of the the former Vice President under the Kufuor administration, talking to us. I mean, his views represent that of the NPP Northern caucus there. What he's saying is that for now he wouldn't tell us the intentions of the meeting, but maybe in the next 2 hours we should know what the entire details are. So, like I said, the meeting is still underway, and we are still hanging out here and then nosing around to get the relevant information to feed our audience. Pleasant.
Samuel Mbura joining us with the very latest in terms of that crucial meeting happening next, and other leading figures of the NPP are all in a search for the running mate to Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who is now leading the new Patriotic Party into the 2024 elections. There's a group, Alliance for Foot Soldiers Advocacy, a grassroots-based organization within the NPP, asking the Vice President to consider moving towards the Ashanti region, given the fact that it is the base of the party. We'll get into the details of that shortly and explore the possibility of what's likely to happen and if the Vice President should consider any other region apart from the Ashanti. But the Ashanti has has been big. It's not just AFA raising the concern, but some, political watchers as well. Isaac Ofieje is our man, data analyst here at Joy News, looking at the possible Ashanti figures that we've been discussing ever since, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia became the leading figure of the party. And of course, it goes without saying that the Ashanti region is the base of the new patriotic party. I see 4 notable faces right behind you. Take us through them.
In fact, all of them, blessed, from the Ashanti region. We have a first, which is, Oseche Mensah-Bonsu.
Right.
Swami constituency.
And that's our majority leader in
Absolutely.
Parliament, right?
Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, who is the current energy minister, also in the mix over there. There's Osei Owusu, who is the Osei Owusu Bekwai MP, and then also the Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Yao Osei Duchum, Education Minister.
Right.
All of these 4 people are actually in the lead, and we don't know who will be chosen to become the running mate of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. He has been there before. He's been, one of the candidates. He knows the process that this whole thing has to go through. If there's going to be lobbying, he knows, he's aware. If there's going to be any form of consultation, he's aware. If there's going to be any form of rejection, he's aware. He knows the caliber of person that probably the top hierarchy of the party will be preferring. So he is the perfect person at this moment to choose a running mate for himself because he's exposed to all the dynamics. Now, if you look at his popularity when we had the main delegate conference, that was November 4th this year, you will see that this is the regional breakdown, trying to give you a picture of how he performed.
Of how he fared, yes.
Exactly. So he had 50% below 50% in 2 of the regions. Had between 50 to 60% in 3 regions, 61 to 70% in 5 of the regions, including the Ashanti region, where he had 66%. 71 to 80%, 5 regions. There was only 1 region that voted for him more than 80%, which is where he comes from, his home region. Which
if that's anything to go by, then Ashanti region, it's fair to say that the vice president doesn't have too much popularity there, right?
Well,
fair comparison.
Well, exactly. You can't really say that because he came up against a candidate who says that he also hails from the Ashanti region, from the eastern region as well. There were grievances where even Alan Tremantin, who's also from the Ashanti region, had to pull out and all of those things. So you can't really say that then it means he's not popular in the Ashanti region. 66% is still very significant. But the most important thing is that we have to know that for the NPP to win the national elections, we've looked at the data, and it's clear that they always have to clock more than 75% of the total valid vote cast in order for them to put themselves in a very good position to get that 50% plus 1 in the main election. So there you have it, all the 16 regions and how he performed, plus Kennedy Japan in the delegate conference, and then even the swing regions. Now you're looking at where to select your running mate from. Are you going to select from any of the swing regions, where in one of the swing regions he actually had 36%, where Kennedy Japan is coming from Greater Accra region,
and that's the central and that's the central region where
exactly
Greater Accra,
36%.
Right.
So these are the swing regions. You need to also look at the numbers and your popularity in these areas. But the party is aware that, in fact, this is the first time you are actually going away from the Ashanti region. Probably the candidate, the main, candidate not coming from the Ashanti region. This time around, the person leading the NPP is coming from the north. And so you have to play your cards well. You have your base in the Ashanti region. But Blessed, you are familiar with this
dynamic. And this is the Alan factor, right? Another key reason why many are advocating that, let the NPP VP position go to the Ashanti region. This is a key figure contesting Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then he pulls out entirely out of the race and then says, I'm going independent. But he's had an effect on the party each and every time he makes a move.
I'm sure last week you saw the videos where they did the Afafranto walk, right? The number of people who were actually following. And definitely he's going to walk away with some of the supporters. So now let's use data to actually explain this whole Alan Tremantin effect that we've been observing in the Ashanti region. What happens to the NPP anytime Alan Kyerematen is not really happy about something in the NPP. So we start from 2007, where he came first in the scene, contested against President Akufo-Addo, lost. What happened to the Ashanti? That was the first time we saw that they actually dropped. That was the first time, Alan Kyerematen was losing the primary. What happened was that they dropped from the vote they had in the 2000 election. They dropped by some 4.5 percentage points in the 2004 elections.
Right.
Then we moved to, somewhere around 2010. 2010, there were similar dynamics. So what happened was that 2010 was when he lost big time against the, current President Akufo-Addo. He actually moved from somewhere 36% to 90%. People were not really happy.
And even with that, the Ashanti votes were dropping.
Were dropping. So you could see that anytime he has a very, when he has grievances or he has something to say or he's not really happy about something, the Ashanti region responds probably by dropping their vote by.
Okay, so Isaac, definitely the Alan factor should be one of the reasons for which Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would have to consider going into the Ashanti region. But we're not saying on this platform that that's what he will certainly do. It's likely, very likely that's where it's going to be. That's the likelihood. But he could surprise anyone by picking a candidate from the greater Accra region.
It was actually a big surprise when President Akufo-Addo selected him as his running mate. Many were thinking he could go for other people.
You mean Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia himself? Yes, precisely.
We understand that certain names were presented to the president. He chose, sent it to the top hierarchy of the party. They actually rejected, came back again, brought him. So he understands the dynamics.
And knows exactly what's going to happen now, that he's submitting the names as well.
He's been there before.
And he's just going through, I guess, the same process. This is a good time to bring in Kamal Amasama-Bruni. And Isaac, just stay with us. Kamal Amasama-Bruni is, of course, spokesperson for the Alliance for Foot Soldiers Advocacy, a grassroots-based organization within the New Patriotic Party, and also joining the conversation as well as Dr. Ashanti, political scientist at the University of Ghana, all helping us to do the discussion, because there's this aspect about Alan, which we'll be delving a bit more into. But I just want to take their initial thoughts, Isaac, on what's happening now within your political party. Kamal, thank you for joining us. What we're seeing now, we've seen, of course, Farouk Mahama recount what happened, of course, when his father became, the vice president. That process has gone through. Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, also from the north, was picked. But this time round, you have him in the seat, which definitely means that, politically speaking, it will not go back to the north. What's happening in your party now?
Well, blessed. Thanks for having me. And what's happening today at Alisa is simply that, just as Samuel Mbura stated, the Constitution, Article 13.3 states that, if I am allowed to...
Yeah, you can freely quote that.
When the president is not the candidate, the vice presidential candidate shall be nominated at least 12 months before the general elections, unless the National Council, under special circumstances, dispenses with this requirement. So they are there. Perhaps they can choose to take the latter part, maybe if there are certain issues why they have to dispense, then that. Other than that, the Constitution stipulates that the presidential candidate now for the New Patriotic Party, that has to do with Doctor, has to...
Okay, what I want us to do now is to hold on. Dr. Ashanti, just hold on for us briefly. We understand the General Secretary of the party, Justin Kudia Frimpong, is addressing the press. We can take you there live now where he's speaking.
It was agreed by NEC, which is in charge of parliamentary primaries of our party, that the date for the sitting members of parliament primaries be varied from 20th January to 27th January. So the new date for the elections at where the party have members of parliament will be on the 27th of January 2024. So kindly take notice of that. Aside that, in line with our constitution, particularly reference to Article 13.3.2, and I'll read. The vice presidential candidate shall be a known and active member of at least 5 years and shall be nominated by a presidential candidate at least 12 months before general elections, when the party is not in government or the president is not the candidate. The National Council may, however, dispense with this requirement under special circumstances. From interpretation of this article, it presupposes that today should have been the day that our leader of the party and our presidential candidate should have presented.
Well, unfortunately, we've lost that connection to the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, who's now addressing the press and, of course, providing some updates. Very crucial one on what the next phase of reorganization for the NPP will be. We'll try and just see if we can one more time hear from the General Secretary of the party. We'll definitely be monitoring that space and, of course, bring you some updates shortly where he's equally providing with updates on what's happening in terms of the search. That's where he left off, in terms of the search for the running mate of the governing New Patriotic Party. Kamala Amasama-Bruni is still with us. And of course, that's the same constitutional provision you were just referring to, pointing out what the Constitution says and what we're seeing within your party today.
Yeah. So just as I was saying, so it is in fulfillment of that article. That's why National Council is meeting today. And AFA, let me put it on record, AFA has not taken position on the running mate yet. Howbeit, some of us have interest when it comes to the running mate, and I'm biased because I'm an executive as well, right. And I'm biased when it comes to who should be the running mate of the party because of certain factors. And I think he's touched on one of the key things. If you look at the alliance factor, it's not something we need to downplay. When it comes to Ashanti region, anything above 75%, we are good to go. And you know, we've put this agenda before us where we want to break the 8. And once we say we want to break the 8, whatever we need to do to make sure that we aggregate every vote that matter, we have to do it. And that is what we are pursuing. So for me, sitting here, I'm rooting for Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh, really.
Okay. That's your choice, personally.
Yes.
Right.
I feel he's the best person to lead us because whether we like it or not, we have to go to Ashanti region. It's not something we can just ignore. But once we ignore Ashanti region, it becomes suicidal for us. And I have to be frank with you. And when he was doing his analysis,
yes, about Ashanti region.
Region, he placed other people, party stalwarts on the distant screen. But just as I'm saying, if you look at who Napo is in the region, he stands tall. Based on the analysis he did, he's the only person when this thing we did, the voting for the presidential candidate, he's the only MP who's been able to garner that 88.5% vote. None of them. The others, the names being mentioned, none of them have been able to get.
But you also need to be fair and also point out at this moment that in terms of following, that's the Ashanti region. You don't expect anything less in terms of following from someone who's an MP from the Mensah area.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But there are others who are equally influential in their constituency. But Napo is influential when it comes to the whole Ashanti region. In fact, when you look at even his rapport with the Ashanti man, it's splendid. I believe he clicks with them. And you can't have a running mate who perhaps may be having issue with the Ashanti man. Because when it comes to Ashanti region, it's the Ashanti man. Right. Anything short than that, it will be difficult for you to make. And Napo cuts across. When it comes to the youthful appeal, Napo is there. Right. So if Napo partners Dr. Bawumia, for instance, in terms of future-wise, Dr. Napo can take over. So age-wise, it also favors him. Another thing, sometimes we also look at this party, the tradition. We normally have, what's the name? I shall put the career politicians who partner others who are not, so that where there are kind of shortfalls, the others also supporting. And Napo, we all know the role he plays. So looking at the region and looking at who has the appeal within the grassroots, and just as we are saying, we are representing the grassroots, and I'm a spokesperson for that.
And of course, we'll be getting back to you. We'll try and see if, of course, we can re-establish a connection to the Alisa Hotel, where, of course, the General Secretary of the party has been addressing the press on, all of these issues. But let me bring in now Dr. Ashanti, who's also joining the conversation. Doc, and you've been listening to the analysis, to the concerns by the grassroots party, and also we're just listening briefly to the General Secretary when the link actually went off. But he's quoting Article 13 of the NPP Constitution, pointing out that now that they are, short of time in terms of what the Vice President ought to do, and that's looking for a running mate. Looking at the names coming up now, do you feel that the Ashanti region is certainly the destination for the Vice President?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, blessed. Please, it's raining heavily here, so if you could speak up a little bit.
Yes,
I'm struggling to hear.
Yeah, and I'll just pointing out, the comment and push for the NPP to choose someone from the Ashanti region.
It is appropriate. It is appropriate because when you are looking for a running mate, first of all, what you have to do is to be able to do a research on that. And I'm sure the party has gone to the ground already. But what we need to do is that for each party, you first of all look at your stronghold. It is your stronghold that you get the person who best represents the party in terms of the kind of support you are going to derive from the place. Take, for instance, Ashanti region MPP going to pick a candidate as a running mate from Volta region. It is not the case that they are going to ginger people and for them to vote for MPP massively. No, it won't change, because for Ashanti and Volta region, the voting psychology doesn't change. They know what they want, and that nothing can move them. So any of the two parties, you pick, first of all, from your stronghold is the first choice. Then if you don't settle on that, then you can go to a swing region. All right. So for MPP to settle in Ashanti region, I think it's in order. And they pick somebody there. They are likely to influence a number of voters to vote one way in favor of them. All right. Let me also add that it is not only the vice presidential slot that gives the party that influence voter choice. No, there are a number of factors. But for the running mates, it is tactical that MPP picks from Ashanti region. Once they do that, I think they have placed themselves in a very good position, right? And I don't also expect NDC going to pick from a running mate from Ashanti region. They will be just wasting their time. They settle on either Volta or the swing regions. It will favor them. Yeah.
I see. But right now, though, what would that change in terms of the dynamics of the 2024 elections if we see someone coming from the Ashanti region?
Oh, obviously, when MPP is able to, you are talking about MPP, I guess.
Yes, precisely.
Yes. If MPP is able to pick from Ashanti region running mates, obviously, in Ashanti region, you are looking for between 70%, 75% for MPP to be able, when they're able to clock that, they are likely to win the elections, right? So obviously somebody from Ashanti region is going to ginger a number of people to support the party in its quest to maintain power 2024. So yes, numbers are, the figures are going to be improved. There is no doubt about that, because then the people want to have at the back of their minds that, yes, when you don't have the president, the vice steps in and continues. So they have a president in waiting. That is what it means. And that gives them the opportunity to be able to give them the kind of votes that they want. So it's an important factor, but that cannot be look at in isolation. The voters are going to consider not only that, but the economy, which is a critical factor. Okay. How far they have improved the economy is also going to be a deciding factor, because in Ghana, that is the main reason why voters vote the way they do, is the number one consideration, followed by infrastructure development. How far you've been able to do the infrastructure. And this one, the first one flows into the second one. When economy improves, you are going to get resources to be able to improve infrastructure. If the economy slows down, obviously it's going to affect that. Then you move to issue of corruption, and then fights, unemployment, and the rest of them.
Right, and Kamal Amasaman Brony is in studio with us. He was just referring to the fact that he's for, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. He believes that that's, the best foot forward for the NPP going into the 2024 elections.
All the gentlemen are good. They are good to go. The names that we have heard, at least the few that I have heard, I've heard Matthew Opoku Prempeh. I have heard Majority Leader. I've heard the Minister for Education. These are very good materials. But you see, the yardstick for measuring who will partner the person is one. You look at how popular is that person. Amongst them, who is the most popular will count most. Then you are looking at somebody who has what it takes to step into the shoe of the president in case the president cannot continue and all that. Can he rub shoulders with the person who is a running mate in the other political party? That is one factor that is need to be considered. You are looking at somebody who is also competent. Competence is very critical. You don't want just picking somebody from Ashanti because he's an MP or somebody from Ashanti region. No, you want competence because you want resource, that one. And not only that, you are also looking at somebody with less baggage, because if you have that person, yes, from Ashanti region, and he has a lot of baggage, and it means that opponents are going to dwell on that, develop message against him, and the party, instead of campaigning, will be responding to those issues. It will disturb their campaign. You want somebody who also appeals to the rank and file, to a number of people within the country and the rest of them. So it's a tall order. It's not that simple that they said, oh, Mr. A will go and B. When you use these standards to gauge all of them, you really know who will be fit for the purpose.
And Kamal, let me bring you at this point, the issue about baggage, and that's feeding into the conversation that, you can choose whatever running mate you want to choose, but it's also about, what this current NPP administration has delivered. So wherever the vice president or presidential candidate comes from, that should not matter at this moment. Why should the Ashanti region matter so much?
I think Doc has even made my work simple.
Right.
Because some of the things he mentioned, popularity, competence, who can replace the president in case something happens, who has the appeal, and who is it that has nothing to be talked of. That's why I said Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh stands in a pole position, because when you look at all this, I am speaking as somebody who deals with the grassroots. There are very many platforms I am part of.
Right.
And when it comes to the popularity, Napo stands it. He stands tall amongst that. When it comes to replacement, just as I told you, the youthfulness is there. And competence. Look at when Napo was at the Ministry of Education.
Right.
Look at his sterling performance. Almost every award that came his way, he swept it. This should tell you the kind of person we are dealing with. And another thing we need to look at, thanks for Doc raising that issue. You don't need to bring a running mate who has issues that people will be dwelling on. Instead of now campaigning, you have to be clearing things. And when you look at somebody like Napo, I don't remember the last time you heard anything negative about Napo in the news. In fact, any ministry Napo has been to, he's made sure that those ministries are very visible in the media. Recently, even joining us, you have to play some of the things he's doing at the Ministry of Energy currently. He's been able to make sure that our lives are stabilized. So I'm rooting for him. And I think
but that's your personal opinion. That's why I'm saying that. What if the opposite happens? In fact, the vice president might not stay in the Ashanti region. He could pick someone, say, from Greater Accra. What then happens to the party's chances?
Nothing bats the presidential candidate, but he's also listening to some of the
I get that clearly, but what in your view will happen if it comes from, say, the Greater Accra region?
Well, for me, it's unthinkable, so I wouldn't even go there. It's still,
really?
Yeah, it's unthinkable. I'm telling you with all sincerity, it's unthinkable.
You never know. This is politics.
Blessed, I'll be back here to tell you that Dr. Matu Opoku Prempeh has been nominated.
Oh, I see. Because you're rooting for him.
But there is another issue of the economy. Yes,
yes.
It's true. Regardless of whoever you bring, if the economy is in shambles or is facing challenges, Ghanaians will not consider who you've brought. And when you look at the indicators so far, let's be fair, things are now picking up. Even the IMF figures are showing that things are beginning to pick up. And I believe by next year, God willing, things will definitely stabilize. It wouldn't be the way it is. Definitely, we can't go into an election with challenges that we are facing now. We need to improve it to tell Ghanaians that, yes, we face a global challenge and we've been able to work our way out of it and things are improving. So I'll tell you that, yes, 2024, we'll have a good story to tell Ghanaians.
I see. The issues about the possibility of going for Kennedy Ejapon, who is, of course, the first runner-up in the just-ended elections. This is someone who, of course, appealed very much to the base of your party, which is the Ashanti region, making some inroads and gaining significant votes from there. Yeah. If you're looking for a candidate, why not him? I mean, he has contested the presidential elections too.
Well, that's not the only criteria for selecting, or that's not the mandatory criteria that because you've contested, definitely, or you are the second, the runner-up,
yes.
And they have to make you, no, it's not part of it. And you see, let's be fair, somebody like Honorable Kennedy Ejapon is a tough person to handle. Right. And you see, when you also want to have a candidate, it should be the person you have that good rapport with, you can talk to. So when you look at the rapport between the president and the vice president, ever since he was brought from 208, we've never had any issue. And we all know the Honorable Kennedy Ejapon is the type he's the outspoken type. You can't gag him. And you find difficulty. So to me, that might be the negatives. That means the presidential candidate will have difficulty in selecting him, really. Other than that, he's a good material. He appeals to the grassroots. Yes, even though some of us didn't go for him. But any day, any time you bring Kennedy Ejapon on board, to help the campaign, definitely he will deliver. And I know he'll be part of the national campaign. He will lead the campaign, of course, for us to win. Because you can't do away with
I see. Of course, Dr. Asante, you have some take on that. The point Kamal is raising about, looking amongst the list of those who contested the just-ended presidential primaries of the party. Is that not an area to look at? You have not just Kennedy Ejapon.
The question again.
Yes, I was just pointing out that, looking at the list of those who contested the presidential primaries of the NPP, there are some good faces there, of course, some of them who come from the Ashanti region and others from other regions that the vice president could be looking at.
Oh, obviously, if you don't pick from Ashanti region, your next suitable area should be the swing regions. So I'm sure you were asking a question about why they will not settle down on Kennedy Ejapon. Yeah.
Yes, and not just him, but all those who contested, the presidential primaries of the party.
All those you are talking about those who took part in the November 4 or August 26.
Excluding Alam Kojocher, I think, of course. I'm talking about that list.
So if we are talking about, are we talking about November 4?
I'm talking precisely about the presidential primaries, yes.
Yes, November 4, yes. Kennedy contested, you talk about Kwabena Ejapon and the rest of them. For Central Region, yes, there's nothing wrong for the party going there, but their best bet should be Ashanti Region. Then secondly, if they want to go to any of the swing region, either Greater Accra or Central, it's fine. For Kennedy, he's a fine material. He has fought very well for his party, and he has what it takes to be able to do the work. But a lot of things will not allow him to be able to partner Dr. Bawumia. If you listen to his campaign, he came out. The two gentlemen, I'm talking about the Vice President, Kennedy, themselves, attack each other to the extent that they run down each other. look at Kennedy, the kind of things I had said. That MPP lost the election as at what, 2022? That you are talking about a government flagship program, which is 1D, 1F. He said it doesn't see much. And remember, politics is the contest of what? Ideas and referendum of your work. This is a government major flagship program. He has run it down. He talked about the fact that, look, the MPP is looting the state as if there's no tomorrow. How can this thing change overnight? He's talking about, they said there are strategies, but here they took the exchange rate from 4 CD to $1 to 4 CD to 12 CDs today. How is he going to explain that? So all that in effect, what I'm saying that the thing that he said in the campaign will really weigh against him and whoever he partners with. Dr. Bawumia, it can be a good pair for them. Remember their campaign to Kennedy's team also was accusing Bawumia's office that they issued the 10 cents of what? Kennedy Japan, and that also ran Kennedy down. So there are a lot of things that will weigh heavily against Kennedy Japan, even though I consider that he's very solid. He has fought for a party. He appeals to a lot of people, but these things are going to weigh heavily against him if they bring him on board. I'm sorry to say that, but that is why people like us caution the party that when you are going for primaries, even though you are looking for, it's a great contest. The character assassination, you should be careful about it, because later when you run the person down, you find it difficult to repair the damage, and that is what is on their hands now.
Right, and indeed, the NPP, as we speak, is in a phase of reorganization. They just ended the parliamentary primaries in orphan constituencies. The General Secretary was, I guess, pointing out to the next phase, which will be for places where you have sitting MPs. That's another, make or break for the party, you agree. That process must be handled carefully.
Well, listen, if you look at the current national executives, in fact, I must applaud them. Basically, every electoral processes they've handled, the media has not gotten anything negative to say. Just this recent, orphan constituency elections held. I don't think there's any constituency that you people reported of any mishappenings over there. So
but there was vote buying, at least.
No, that's not a question you've asked.
Okay, I see. Well, let's not go into the conversation, the debate around that one, by the way.
So yes, they've lived up to the bill. I must say, the national chairman and the general secretary, including the other national executives, they've really done well. And once they've been able to handle, in fact, the presidential elections, the superdelegates and that of the November 4, was the most critical one because it included the grassroots. That could have been the make or break, rather, not really, because this is constituency specific. So if an issue is happening in one constituency, it might not have a rippling effect or telling effect on another constituency. So really, that cannot be the make or break because we have 137. So now what it means is that many other constituencies have been done. We are just left with 137 where we have sitting MPs, including my constituency. I don't see how it is make or break. And one of the things we've seen that there's nobody who lost the orphan constituency election who came out and complained that the processes were not fair. They've all agreed. So it tells you that going forward, I'm really optimistic that the process will still continue because once they've done the major one and we didn't have any hitches, I don't see how a fewer constituencies of, say, 137 will be something they cannot handle, really. So I'm looking up to another brilliant elections that will come. And looking at what the General Secretary is doing, really, he's made the contest to be very, very fair, especially in Greater Accra. He's handling Greater Accra.
You're sure about that? That's why I was bringing up the issue about the vote buying. You were, a bit evasive about it, but that's the reality. The Office of the Special Prosecutor now going after some of your own party members simply because they took some money just as part of the process. I can imagine what will happen in places where you have sitting MPs, for instance.
Well, if you say vote buying, you've not mentioned any constituency to me. I was in Amasama, I didn't go to any constituency, I didn't see any vote buying, so I cannot speak to it. And I don't want to believe that if, for instance, delegates gather and then you give them TNT to go back, even the former president gave TNT for people.
Which of the former presidents?
The former president, JM, he himself gave TNT. So if an opposition party even gave TNT, what's wrong would it be when somebody who is contesting feels like, okay, delegates move far away and then they have to go back, let me support them with TNT. Let me take Amasama constituency, for instance. Somebody comes from Oyansana or Kushibiade, far away. and you tell the person that maybe this is 50 cedis, take it as.
But the truth is, you're not giving 50 Ghana cedis. Well, you've seen all of these reports. I mean, you belong to the Alliance for Food Soldiers. You deal with the grassroots of the party. You know what these delegates, the language these delegates speak. It's money. In fact, some of them are on tape to have shown us the kind of cash they made just last weekend because they decided to be a part of the process to vote.
Which constituency was this?
Oh, but you've seen a number of constituencies in the Ashanti region, even here in the Greater Accra region, the Ablekuma Central area also. You saw the video for which the OSP says he wants these individuals to come and answer questions. They were on TV pointing out to us and showing us cash that they made out of the exercise.
Well, let me give you an instance. When we were doing the November 4 general presidential election, in my constituency, we had the opposition members there who were there. We know them. They just came whether to observe, to solidarize, or whatever, but they just came on the field. You couldn't sack them. Right. So let's assume that people like that came just to fake certain things.
I see. You're disowning your own members now. I'm assuming simply that because
people can do. People can do something.
But how is this possible? These are known people who've gone into the exercise, who participated.
I don't think you captured them in the electoral where the vote.
Are you disowning your own people now?
No, I'm not disowning anybody because I've not seen any of the videos you are talking of. Seriously, I've not watched them. That's how come when you said I asked you which constituency. You see, that tells you that I've not seen. But just as I'm saying, if you support people with TNT for them to go back, or perhaps, we are going together and then somebody prepares food, brings it there, I don't see anything wrong with it.
It won't influence anything?
But moneycracy is not something I subscribe to, really. Right. Yes, I don't subscribe. So if there are evidence that monies were shared, those kind of things, we all condemn it and hope that next time.
And I'm just setting an example. If I give you transport to come to a polling center and I'm contesting in that election, would you still go ahead and vote against me?
That's it. Well, you are not the only person giving. If you are 4 contestants.
Oh, so they are not there's not only one candidate who gives money.
No, said I've come to the center. I've not coerced you to give me transportation. I got there and then you tell me that, I should come and take TNT. Another candidate.
So you want to take my TNT for free? That's what you're saying?
No, but you are giving. I'm not. What's the name? I've not asked you to give me money. I've not placed a price on my vote that. Unless you give me 1,000 or 500 or 50 Ghana, I'm not going to vote for you. If I should do that, then I'm taking something in return to vote for you, which is bad. But if I get to the center and then they say, candidate A says that each delegate that's here should be given TNT, I'm inclusive.
You take it?
Yeah, I'm inclusive.
Will you take it?
Oh, yes, I'm inclusive because the person says any delegate that comes to the center should be given the. And if I qualify to be a delegate, it means, because if you don't take it, somebody will take it. Because they won't return the money to the person who has issued the money.
Is that what happens? They usually don't return it. Okay.
Because even that D-Day, sometimes, when we go, we tie our banners and those. When we close, we even ask, who are those who have untied those things? Because by the time you realize, the whole place has been kind of, if I may use, ransacked. So it happens. And then during electoral issues, you are busy. If you are a contestant, for instance, I'm contesting assembly election, on D-Day I'll be busy. Okay. If I say, maybe there are people who will be coming from point A to come and vote, even though they've registered in my electoral area, perhaps they've moved to rent at a certain place, and they told me, "Come on, we are going to come, perhaps support us with TNT." And then they come and say, support them with TNT. How corruptible is this?
I see. And Dr. Asante, the final phase of the reorganization process, electing MPs in places where they have seating members of parliament, of course, Kamal pointing to the fact that if you give transport for people just to come and elect you, or support the electoral process, that nothing should be wrong with that.
I disagree. Let us look at it this way. People come there. He said, if you give 50, right? This is your ability to give 50. Somebody also gives 1,000. He will tell you, it's TNT. Somebody gives a car. They are all curing that problem of TNT. So why are you worried when the person decided, I'll give Land Cruiser? Is it not TNT you are dealing with?
Land Cruiser?
Yes. Is it not TNT? The person is a chairman, and that we want this TNT business to stop once and for all. So I've given Land Cruiser. Anytime there's election, use the car. Am I not dealing with the TNT problem?
Yeah, but that's like spoiling the delegates for choice, giving them a view.
I am also, because look, if 50 cedi doesn't mean anything, you can't tell me that 1,000 means anything, because we are dealing with the same problem of TNT. So somebody said that I am also giving 1,000. Yeah, this is something small. Yeah, if you are traveling from this distance, inconvenient, just get 1,000. Would you say that one will influence? If 50 is nothing wrong, I'm not sure giving Land Cruiser or 1,000 or 2,000 is wrong. If we agree that these things are TNT, then we must shut up when people give Land Cruiser and when people give 20,000, 50,000. But let me tell you, all these things have a way of influencing voter choice. Go to rural areas and you realize you give somebody 50 cities, it's big money to influence his votes. That's why we are saying that don't give anything, because you look at it in rural areas when chiefs summon us that we should come and listen to information and all that. We walk long distance, go and listen, and no money is given to us. We walk back because we think that the message is good for us, for our own good. For that reason, we don't take anything. If you are coming to listen to a politician or coming to vote and all that, it's your right. You are exercising it. Why are you taking TNT? If you care for that person so much, give the person money anytime he goes around before the election and all that. Then you are thinking about the vulnerable, the needy and all that. But the politicians always hide. Oh, we just gave TNT. I'm telling that also have a way of what influencing. Otherwise, they should shut up when people move from 50 or 100 to 1,000. My way, you are not able to give much. You are giving 50 Ghana. I have more, and I say I'll give 1,000. Is it a problem? Somebody saying that, well, with the same TNT problem, I'm giving you a car, a Tico, a Land Cruiser. Is it not curing the same problem? That is it. They always hide behind these things. But these things, why we are worried is that when you introduce money, then you take away what issues? Then you take away the essence of democracy. Then democracy is for the highest bidder. Is that what we are talking about? But it's unfortunate that all these things are happening. Politicians justify them, and we sit down, we don't punish them enough. People who give up money in any means, we should be able to throw them out. They are not in to serve our interests.
Okay, but at any moment you decide to give out Land Cruisers when you're contesting, just call me. I'll be a delegate. I'll be delegate, of course.
Are they not curing the
all right. Dr. Ashanti, I'm grateful for your time.
Also went too far in terms of some of the examples he said. Land Cruiser cars.
No, but people give cars. I mean, just...
No, but easy. If, for instance, I'm doing something now, I call Joy News to come and cover. Yeah. And afterwards, I call your media man and say, oh, Charlie, come and sit, let's have some lunch.
That's different. But that's not a Land Cruiser.
That is an influence, because that means once I've given them something to eat there, I'm influencing them on the kind of story they should come and do. Maybe I may tell them how they should do it because they've eaten my food. But what Doc is saying, it means basically when we are going to the voting center, not even water should be brought there. But that is also part of influence. Because someone who is thirsty and gotten water from you can be influenced by virtue of the water the person has taken. What of that?
Yeah, but that's why he's saying someone could also say, okay, I'm just buying you the car so you can drive from home, come to the polling center.
So let's say, we have 1,500 delegates. How many people can you give cars?
But it's not like we've not seen candidates giving out cars. We've seen that before.
Well, I've never seen that.
Okay.
Cars, I've never seen that. Oh. Really, I've never seen.
The small vehicles.
I've never seen, and I don't think I'll ever see.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay. You seem to be a fine gentleman, so we'll leave it at that. Thank you for joining us. Yes, right. Okay.
I'm contesting for the Amasama electoral area elections as Assemblyman come December 19th. So I'm pleading that my electoral area people on 19th December, they should come out and vote for me massively. And blessed, there's last thing I want to on what's the name? Saturday, 9th, myself and then Dr. Dan. So that's a doctor for minutes fertility, medical and fertility, located in Amasama. In collaboration with Gift of God Aid Foundation, we are undertaking a health screening exercise at the Amasama Zonal Council. So I encourage people to come there. There will be portrait, there will be sugar, blood, those things. But the last thing I'm coming to touch up on has to do with the Amasama Park there. The youth are boiling because that place has been given to a private developer to come and develop. The youth have not been consulted. Their footballing activity has been stalled, and then they want to protest. Some of us are talking to them. Right. I beg authorities should engage them, let them know. Because once you do AstroTurf, for the first time, blessed, I'm rushing, for the first time, an AstroTurf is going together with stores. Can you imagine? So it tells you the profit motive behind those things. And then the youth are telling us that they want to go on demonstration. We are telling them that they should hold on, we'll talk to authorities that be, and then we'll know the details. Because when you want to take things like this, where every footballing activity or sporting activity is taking place, at least engage the youth and let them know what's happening.
Okay, we'll see what happens on December 19, but of course, don't give land cruises. That's what I would say. But thank you so much, Kamal and Dr. Asante for joining the conversation. You're watching The Pulse here on the Joy News channel. We're taking a break, but when we return, we'll talk about some parents and also guardians of students seeking, of course, some change of schools at the Ashanti Regional Solution Center, and our agitator will tell you why.